Great pleasure to bring on board Mr. Pankaj Patel to talk about why the fortunes of pharma sector have changed after COVID. Where is the vaccine right now? And if at all, if a vaccine is discovered, how soon it really would be, we will be able to distribute it in a vast and a complex country like India. Mr. Patel, thank you for joining us. I've got lots of questions for you, Mr. Patel. So allow me to first start with the important question which really concerns everyone's life. What is your understanding on the vaccine? How far are we away from the green light, both for Cadila and also internationally?
So there are, as you are aware, that there are few vaccines globally who are in the phase 3 clinical trial, and couple of vaccines from India are in phase 2 trials in India. Now those phase 3 trial vaccines are being talked about currently, and whatever is known to me is also known to you publicly, is basically either they're going to be completing the trial before the end of the year or somewhere closer to that, and they expect that based on that they might receive an approval. As far as India is concerned, India, as we know, that there are three vaccines in the different stage of clinical development, and they are in phase 2 and phase 3. The vaccine which is in phase 3, which is by Serum Institute of India, should be the first one to come out once the vaccine is approved globally. The other two vaccines are currently in phase 2. Coming to my specific vaccine, we are currently going in phase 2, and our phase 2 is moving smoothly. We expect the data readout to come out end of November, and then we would move into phase 3 study. At the end of the phase 3 study, we would expect the vaccine to be available by March of 2021.
Okay. If the vaccine is available by March 2021, assuming all goes well, we are now, all of us are hoping and praying for that, how easily do you think it will be for us to distribute the vaccine? Because distribution is a bigger challenge than actually production right now.
So there are two basically challenges as far as distribution is concerned. One is basically making it available across India. Now these vaccines which are currently being developed in India, all the three of them requires a storage condition of 2 to 8 degrees. Now this is already a very well established system in India for distributing vaccines in India. So I do not see a major challenge in terms of distributing from a manufacturing hub to various parts of India, including getting into hospital setup, etc. Some other challenge would be, of course, to administer the vaccine into large number of people, and there would be a need to train the healthcare workers to do so, because some of the vaccines would require to be given intramuscularly or intradermally or subcutaneously, and depending upon the requirement, the healthcare workers have to be trained to basically administer the vaccine, which is important, but I think it would really get some training to get ready for doing that. So I think that is what I see. So as far as the Indian part of vaccines are concerned, which are going to be manufactured currently in India, I do not see major challenge as far as distribution is concerned. And of course, training of healthcare worker also is rather easy to do so. The global vaccines requires more stringent storage condition, and there I would expect that there will be some challenges if we have to distribute those vaccines, because they have to be distributed at a very low temperature. However, currently we don't know which one will be available for India. Surely the Indian vaccines will be available for India. But which one the global vaccine is going to be available for India, and whether they would have capacity to supply to India, we don't know. So I cannot specifically comment about the challenge one would face as far as the lower temperature vaccines are concerned.
Okay. Mr. Patel, what is your, I'm going to, let's say, address a question which is of immense market curiosity. The fortunes of the pharma sector in India have changed after COVID crisis. Has COVID crisis acted as a trigger for the Indian pharma sector, or it is just a coincidence?
So actually, the market has changed. And some of the treatment which is used for COVID disease across the world, the drugs that are used in that have a higher demand. The other drugs do not see the growth as it used to see before. Plus, because of the kind of pandemic situation, most of the patients are not going to the doctors or hospitals unless it is emergency. And as a result, it is we have seen that those segments are not growing. Internationally, the market is seeing uptick because there is a huge demand across the world to stock up and also make medicine available freely. And as a result, internationally, we see that upsurge in demand. On top of it, of course, the newer recipes for COVID treatment are seeing a better and higher growth. Could be nutraceuticals in the area of vitamin C and the multi-component vitamin C tablets and syrups, and then could be also remdesivir or favipiravir or other drugs and so on and so forth. So, and also aspirin and the low molecular difference are also in demand. Dexamethasone and the other products also are required, the steroids. So I see that those are the products for which there is a significant increase in the demand. But as the disease is not going away, this is going to be a kind of a long-term need for this kind of medicine. And there is going to be more concern about nutraceuticals going forward in terms of building immunity, etc. So those are the segments which are going to open up more.
In general, will I be wrong if I say that the worst of the pricing power for the generic industry is over?
Pricing. So I think I would agree with you that there is a challenge in terms of supply because in the COVID situation across the world, the plants are facing issues time and again. Logistics also becoming challenging as a result. Supply is becoming a very important part of overall. And I think currently the concern for buyers are more for supply security than only the price. Because previously there was no issue of supply, people were looking at price as main driver. Now I would say quality first, followed by supply surety, followed by price is a way that the decision making happens in the industry.
Mr. Patel, our understanding of the Indian pharma curve is that Indian companies they have a reasonable and a large market share in the oral solids and the derma space. Next couple of years, do you think Cadila or other companies, they are likely to differentiate their portfolio proposition by moving into biosimilars, moving into injectables, or even moving into oncology?
So I cannot talk about the industry, and we already have those portfolio which you mentioned. So we have the largest range of biosimilars, and more biosimilars are in pipeline. And we also have all the anti-COVID medicine in our portfolio. Industry will of course move into the newer therapies. And
what is
like
your?
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead. Please, just wanted. Please finish your point.
No, I finished my point. You can continue.
My next question to you is that what is your view on the Indian market? Because Indians are getting health conscious. You know, we always, the minute we think of pharma, we think US is the only market, but that's not true. Companies like Cadila or Sun or Cipla, they have a sizable market share and a presence in the Indian market also. Where do you think that market is headed? What are the trends there?
So Indian market, I think some of the segments are continue to remain healthy, but many segments we see a contraction in demand. Now, if you see, people have become more health conscious across. So if you meet 10 people, you will find 8 of the people have said, I've reduced my weight, I've become more fitter, I'm doing exercise regularly. Some of the good things to do to maintain good health is people are practicing very religiously because of thanks to the crisis, I would say. But the point, so as a result, one would see that And of course, you eat mostly at home, and home cooked food is the best food, as we all know. So all that has basically create a healthy habit in the people. At the same time, the demand of medicine continues. So we do not see contraction in the market, but only few segments are growing. Some of the segments where patients are not going, like derma, like in the area of gynecology and ophthalmology. These are the areas where people are not going as much as they used to go before, and avoiding to going to the hospital or a clinic. And as a result, one would find that today there is a kind of a decline on the market share of that. But I believe that's momentary. Ultimately, the market will neutralize and come back to the original thing. I do not expect the market to grow double digit, but single digit growth is possible.
Where do you think disruption because of technology will happen in the Indian pharma industry? Every company is adopting digital technology. How exactly digital technology be adopted by the pharma industry?
So I think digital technologies have 2, 3 areas where it would have impact on the pharma industry as well. And I would start with the front end first, which is basically the connection with the medical fraternity, hospitals, etc. And use of more online tools would be more prevalent in time to come. Uh, at the same time, some of the physical meetings will still continue after the things are relaxed. But as of now, more digital technology is being used as far as front end is concerned, and companies are gearing up to actually move and ahead into improving that further. We clearly see that that trend is not going to die, and it will ultimately take a momentum. And it basically, we have all realized over a period of time, using digital technology, particularly in this kind of activity, saves cost and time both. And that helps us in actually improving better efficiency, both for the doctor and for the medical representative and the salesperson. On the manufacturing and quality front, also, there is a great opportunity here in terms of using more digital technology. So you're less dependent on human inputs and more directly derived from machines input. As a result, the things can become better, faster, and more accurate. And I think that is what I think companies are adapting to. So these are the 2 areas we see it as the digital communication is becoming more important. So there is a greater push on using digital tools. I'm talking to you on Zoom, but several other platforms are being used by industry. Traveling is almost not there, and as a result, all these online meetings, working from home is becoming kind of a routine and normal thing for us. And we see going forward also, some of these practices will continue. So more digital is for sure for the pharma industry.
Okay. Medical representatives or MRs, like we say, play a very large role in the way of pharma. Companies, they approach doctors and how new prescriptions and now new medicines are being shared. Because of digitalization, do you see there is going to be a huge change in the way how pharma industry was going through the MRs, and could these be large cost savings which will automatically kick in? Because now I'm sure pharma companies can directly talk to doctors and engage much more better.
No, I don't think that we are not going to be having medical representative. We will have still the role of medical representative to some extent, but to large extent, I am clearly seeing that going forward, we would also be using a lot of digital tools. So I think the role will be little contracted, but it will be still remain important role as far as digital, as far as medical representative is concerned. They would still go and meet doctors and do things. So that will continue.
Given that there is a huge, a huge shift towards Atmanirbhar Bharat, where Indian government is committed to, in a sense, increase more manufacturing in India, how will that change the supply chain for API companies?
So I think there is going to be a boost to the API industry in general. Some of the APIs which are currently imported, including some of the intermediates, I think there is going to be a possibility that some of these will be produced in India. People will also look at alternative sources other than one territory from where we are all buying. So that also will be given a boost. So we clearly see that there is going to be growth in both supply of intermediates and API into India. That would also include specialty chemicals, and also globally also there is going to be a kind of a shift towards buying from not buying from a particular territory, and as a result, one can see that the companies in India would benefit by exporting more to APIs and intermediates also.
Are you getting a feeler from when you engage with your business partners and channel partners that they want to increase business with Indian companies more and reduce the dependence on China?
Yes.
Okay. The Indian pharma sector is a sector which does not require a lot of capex. However, the R&D in a sense is very large. How exactly your R&D spends do you think for the pharma industry have changed? I mean, 10 years ago, Indian pharma industry was spending in discovering the para 4 and the exclusivity API filings. How exactly do you think the R&D spend now for Indian pharma companies would change? What I'm trying to understand from you, Mr. Patel, for the benefit of our viewers here is that what do you think are the growing pies in the pharma sector now?
So I think generics will still remain important part of the overall the growth of the pharma industry, and so companies will continue to spend on generics development. Could be simple or complex or injectable, etc. There is also going to be a thrust towards looking at kind of innovative drugs more, either drugs for repurposing, newer formulations which with a newer indication, or even NCE areas, some of the opportunities in both biologics and in the area of small molecule will exist, and that also we will see going forward. Uh, I think going to be important for Indian companies to spend and develop more capability into late stage development, particularly the clinical development part of it, to going forward to make sure that they are able to take the drug to the market, not only in India but also to the other market. So these are a few things which are going to definitely uh, will happen as we see the other growth opportunity for Indian companies would remain into vaccine area, and I believe that uh, this pandemic has taught us about importance of prevention, and there is going to be globally more consciousness and effort towards vaccination, and that could help the Indian vaccine sector to also grow a bit.
Right, Mr. Patel, I'll just drive your attention back to the vaccine, vaccine, not the COVID vaccine, but I think there is enough and more evidence which says that India can be the vaccine capital of the world because we have capabilities and capacities. What advancement do you see in the vaccine space? Since you are into the vaccine space, you have technology, understanding and capabilities. We don't talk about injectables and vaccines business extensively. What's your view the post-COVID crisis purely as a growing pie, as a business opportunity for the Indian pharma sector, the vaccine manufacturing?
Number of infective diseases which currently prevail other than the COVID which we are seeing today. And many of these areas there are no vaccines available. So maybe it's a respiratory virus disease or whether it is chikungunya, dengue, and such other diseases which are there. For that, there is going to be more effort globally to create solutions, which could be preventive solutions by through vaccination. So there is going to be a great opportunity in that area. Plus existing vaccines which are currently available, there is going to be better compliance and better use of those vaccines globally, because every country would start thinking about preventing any kind of mishap in future, and as a result they would like to vaccinate more and more people, and use of some of the old generation vaccine like BCG are being now talked about. So one can understand that even thinking is that vaccination is good, and it is important that we vaccinate people enough to ensure that such kind of crises do not occur in future. I see flu as one of the major opportunity going forward for Indian companies, because that's one area where India has a very small role to play at currently. But I believe that flu is going to become a bigger opportunity going forward.
Okay, two more closing questions, Mr. Patel, and I'm going to just, talk long term here. We're in 2020, the world is struggling with the pandemic crisis. It's been an eye-opener for everyone in terms of importance of healthcare. So based on this year's understanding and learning for the pharma sector, Indian pharma sector and global pharma sector, what changes do you think are going to be permanent changes, and how exactly do you think the shape of the Indian pharma industry will change in 2025?
So you asked me a very broad question, but let me just try to address as much as I can now. The few things are going to change. We are not going to be in the next normal. We are not going to be doing the business the same way as we have done up till now. So more of technology use is going to be most important part as far as the industry is concerned, and industry will become using much more technology than it is being used. Also, we'll be focusing much more on cost aspect and ensuring that the costs are minimized, and all the wastages in the system, which has been there historically for many reasons, would ultimately go away, because some of the standard practices have been done away with. And one has realized that some of the practices are not necessary, and as a result, one would find that going forward, those practices will stop. Traveling will definitely come down significantly. Face-to-face meetings also will be avoided as much as possible. COVID virus looks like hanging around for a longer period than we expected. And as a result, the industries will become tuned to working without having face-to-face contact. And that would happen across the industry, but more in pharma, because there's a lot of personalized selling happens as far as pharma is concerned. On the technology front, we would be basically spending a lot of energy and effort in terms of ability to manufacture more difficult drugs, ability to quickly turn around and develop newer drugs to ensure that when there is a crisis and there is need, industry is able to respond very quickly. The innovation front, more effort will be put on the preventive medicine, and also looking at people will have a fresh look at all infective diseases and what can be done with respect to infective diseases going forward. So this is what I see. Industry will continue to grow because healthcare will remain important. On the device front also, there is going to be more innovation, wearable devices, online consultancy by doctors will become a normal thing. And all that is ultimately going to basically improve the efficiency of the healthcare system. You won't see long queues, but you will see more efficient way of getting access to medical fraternity for patients. And I would see even better patient compliance in the process, which ultimately will help the pharma industry.
Well, Mr. Patel, we've covered a range of topics on what your view on pharma is, where vaccine is. All of us are hoping and praying that, this time around, this COVID crisis becomes an eye-opener for all of us to get more health conscious and what the world needs in terms of environmental importance. So thank you very much. Stay safe, and really look forward to much more engaging interviews in future.
Thank you very much.